Hello everybody, welcome back. I am TheChornick, and this is my Pokemon Anime Theory Series. And this episode is a very, very special episode. Now this episode is my top 10 most wanted moments that I've ever wanted or, want to happen in the Pokemon anime. And these are the things I still hope for. And I believe no other person has really covered their own little top 10 most wanted moments. So I believe I am one of the first to do this. But so I would like to see all of your top 10s below, as this is my own opinion and this is my predictions, and not really my predictions per se, but what I really want to happen. If these things do happen in the anime, I'd be extremely happy, and Pokemon would just be the best thing ever. Now, so ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. At number 10 is two specific captures. Now, the first one I will talk about is Haunter. Now, back in the original series, I really wanted Ash to catch Haunter, especially during that one episode where they went to the Pokemon Tower, and then Haunter agreed to travel with Ash, to help him go face Sabrina, which was the Psychic Gym Leader. Now, I honestly thought that Haunter was officially Ash's Pokemon at this point, and I was extremely happy because Haunter was in fact one of my favorite Pokemon at the time, and he still is, and I love ghost Pokemon. So when Haunter joined Ash, I was really happy, and I just hoped, and right now Ash doesn't have many ghost type Pokemon, so I really wish he would have caught this Haunter. But maybe in the future he might see a Haunter again, but I doubt he will ever catch one because he is, a Kanto Pokemon. So, but the fact that Haunter stayed with Sabrina really angered me. But oh well. But yes, this was one of my hopes that inevitably died, I guess. But anyway, so that was my first one. The next capture I wanted to happen was with Jigglypuff. Now, Jigglypuff played a pretty vital role, actually, or not really vital, I should say, but played, had a lot of show time, screen time, more than probably it should have. And I believe that Ash would actually catch this specific Jigglypuff that appeared in the original series. This Jigglypuff would show out of nowhere, just running across the screen in a couple different, episodes. And I thought Ash would actually catch this Jigglypuff because it kept showing up in all these, in all these episodes in the original series, and it would even show up in the title song theme, in the intro before the actual episode begins. So I believe that Ash would actually eventually catch this Jigglypuff, and I've always wanted him to catch this. Also, with the idea of the Fairy-type Pokemon, with the new X and Y and all that, I believe that if Ash was to get a Fairy-type Pokemon for Kalos, it should be Jigglypuff, and I would highly appreciate that. And I believe that he should get Jigglypuff if he was going to get a Fairy-type Pokemon. So this is just one of my hopeful captures that I wish will happen at some point. Maybe specifically this Jigglypuff right here that kept showing up in the original series. Alrighty then. Alright, now it's time for number 9. Now number 9 for me was Bulbasaur evolving. I would have loved this to happen, as it is what is pretty much Bulbasaur was my favorite Pokemon at the time of the original series. Back then, surprisingly, Haunter was pretty much second, while Pikachu was third. Back when I was little, these were my 3 favorite Pokemon. Bulbasaur, I just hoped he would evolve. In one episode, he almost did, but he refused to evolve, which really kind of ticked me off, because I really wanted him to evolve into Ivysaur. Even though I do love Bulbasaur as a Pokemon, I would really have appreciated him evolving, especially this Bulbasaur, which was Ash's. This Bulbasaur deserved to evolve, in my opinion, but he didn't want to. But even in the anime, they even said that Bulbasaur might decide to evolve later, so I still have high hopes for this. But this, ladies and gentlemen, this is my number 9 wanted moment to happen. However, it has not happened yet. But Bulbasaur does appear at some points, but perhaps he will evolve one day. Alright, as big as that thing was for me, though, that is placed at number 9. But for number 8 is something that's a little bit more, recent. Now, Mega Evolution. I hope Ash gets a Mega Evolution, and this is number 8. And pretty much at this point, I could say that my biggest prediction for this is he's probably going to get a Mega Charizard. I do have a whole video about Ash's Mega Evolution predictions, so guys, if you would like to go check that out, please do that, because I have a whole video based upon what I think Ash's Mega Evolution Pokemon will be and how it will all play out. So please go watch that video if you have not yet already. But in terms, I do want him to get a Mega Evolution, and specifically probably Charizard, because I believe a lot of people, and probably most everyone, would be happy and content with Charizard being his Mega Evolution. Alrighty then, for number 7, we got Ash catching a legendary Pokemon. Now this is obviously what a lot of people would like to happen, but I specifically would have Ash catch at least one, because he befriended so many legendary Pokemon. I believe he should catch at least one at some point, possibly towards maybe the end of his journey, towards the end of the season. Maybe you could use him, maybe you could not. Depends, but in terms of which legendary I would choose for Ash, it would probably be Mewtwo. It could also be kind of nostalgic reasons, because Mewtwo was one of the first legendary Pokemon Ash ever really befriended. I mean, Ho-Oh is kind of close in terms of that's the first Pokemon Ash ever saw, but I think Mewtwo is perfect for Ash in terms of that Mewtwo also kind of adores and finds Ash as a unique person, and Mewtwo doesn't usually trust trainers, but he trusts Ash, and Ash is the only human that Mewtwo trusts. So I believe Mewtwo would be perfect Pokemon for Ash, and I believe Ash would definitely need Mewtwo, considering Mewtwo is one of the most powerful Pokemon. I believe this will be the perfect legendary Pokemon for Ash, and I hope this does happen, as this is placed at number 7. Okay, now for number 6. Now, this is probably a pretty big one for you guys also, but it's a pretty big one for me, as we're now winding down the list to number 6. And number 6 is about Pikachu. Now, Pikachu, for me, just needs to evolve eventually. I'm saying Pikachu has been Pikachu for far too long, and he deserves to finally get evolution. I know Pikachu doesn't want to evolve, and Raichu's kind of seen as, the enemy for Pikachu. Pikachu kind of hates the evolution, his further evolution. I have a whole video about, why I think Pikachu should evolve, and so I also have a video for that. So guys, if you have not seen it yet, please go see that. But I believe Pikachu should evolve eventually, possibly towards the end of the series. I believe it will be a great finale episode. Maybe during the Pokemon League, Pikachu evolves in kind of an abnormal way, possibly. Maybe he evolves just by looking back on what all of he experienced and all that. Maybe he doesn't evolve by a Thunderstone, but maybe by some other means. But I kind of hope that Pikachu will eventually have the chance to evolve into Raichu again, and he will this time. And I believe that he cannot be truly powerful as he can be if he doesn't evolve into Raichu, and there's so much potential he could have in being Raichu. So I hopefully, I just hold on to hope that Pikachu will eventually evolve. I bet all of you probably have that secret desire for him to evolve too, because Pikachu is overpowered as he is, but no, I still believe he should be evolving into Raichu sometime soon. Oh boy, laddies, we're down to the top 5 now, and placing at number 5. Now, number 5 is probably another one a lot of you are hoping for, is that Ash's dad can actually show up in the Pokemon anime. And this has been a theory for so long, is Ash's dad actually alive? Who is he exactly? Even the animators and writers have even said that, yes, Ash's dad is alive, but they don't know if they're ever going to show him in the series. But if they are, it's for Ash's maturity and raising Ash or something in some way. I hope Ash's dad does return, but that would probably happen during if Ash wins the Pokemon League, for example. Maybe his dad would show up, or see that his son won the Pokemon League, and maybe there could be a reunion there. But I hope that Ash's dad eventually does show up, and we could actually see him for once. There's many theories out there saying it's Giovanni or Silver, but some are good, some are bad theories. But I really hope that Ash's dad does show up eventually, as it is confirmed that Ash's dad is still alive. Alright, at number 4. Now, number 4 for me, is that Ash can have a reunion with all of his Pokemon, or you possibly see the Pokemon he either released or gave up, you know, have them return and he could have a good old reunion with them. Now I'm hoping, you know, that you can see Pidgeot or Primeape or Butterfree once again. These were the three Pokemon that I believe have not really returned yet at all out of all the Pokemon that Ash has released, you know, or given up. I believe that these Pokemon should come back, you know, and especially like Primeape and Pidgeot and Butterfree, because, you know, those were like some of Ash's first Pokemon, you know, and I would really like to see that again. Or maybe Ash could have an episode where he sees, like, you know, Primeape going to some like wrestling championship or something, like during Kalos or something, and at least have an episode where like they just at least show up for an episode, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, see that they're still doing good, you know, Ash could have a reunion with Primeape or Butterfree or Pidgeot, like maybe in just at least one episode. But I'd love to see these Pokemon be reunited with Ash eventually at some point, because, you know, it's just mainly for nostalgic reasons, I guess, but I bet a lot of people would like to see these Pokemon return. Oh boy, here we go, down to the top 3. Now these are my top 3 most wanted moments, and ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with number 3. Okay, anyway, number 3 is that Ash freaking needs a girlfriend, I think, in my opinion. And at number 3 is that I hope, you know, one of the shippings do happen. Either Poke shipping or Amore shipping, in my opinion. I do lean towards Amore shipping a little bit more, because I believe it is more right for Ash, as I believe Serena shows a lot more compassion and love for Ash than Misty did. And even then, for me, Misty is basically just nostalgia in terms of, like, you know, because the original series, she was the first Pokemon girl. I mean, pretty much, really the only reason why people still like pair them is really basically upon nostalgia. I mean, but when you really compare it, like if you take away the nostalgia and compare it to Serena and her Amore shipping, you know, it's really, there is, I mean, Amore shipping basically takes it away, you know, like Amore shipping basically wins the fight. And even now, there has been, you know, an announced dating episode between for Ash and Serena, which will occur on February 5th, by the way. But I do highly support Amore shipping. So, sorry for the other shippers and all the other shippings, but looks like Amore shipping is for the win. You know, Amore shippers unite, I guess. But, but anyway, I am kind of really happy, as this does seem to be going our way, and does seem that this actually will happen in the anime. So I guess this is one of these top things that I hope will happen. Looks like it actually will happen. So hopefully it turns out great. I hope the episode turns out great and it doesn't it doesn't turn out in the completely unexpected way we, you know, don't see coming. So anyway, I hope this does turn out great in the end. Ooh, now boys and girls, we're closing in. Number 2. Now number 2 for me was is Ash to finally freaking age, because he hasn't aged in forever. It's been freaking years, like 18 plus years I believe, and he hasn't aged like even half a year. I mean, geez, he hasn't even aged to 11 yet. I have heard rumors, and it is said that Ash is apparently going to pretty much jump ages. Like, he's basically going to jump to the age of 14, apparently, as what the X and Y writers are trying to do. And this would also highly, you know, help the Amore shipping idea, because, you know, instead of 10-year-olds dating, it would make more sense for 14, 15, 16-year-old, you know, that age group to date. So I believe that they're really trying to push for Ash to be older. Plus, Ash seems a lot more mature, and he even looks a little older in the anime. So hopefully one day he will finally age, as a lot of the older fans are really ticked off that he hasn't aged yet, and they just really want him to finally age. And it's something that, you know, all the Pokemon fans, I believe, at this point are desiring to happen. So this is my number 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on to number 1. Alright, guys. For me, this is pretty much a no-brainer. For my number 1, I believe that the number one thing that we all kind of want to happen is to Ash to finally achieve his goal, achieve his dream, and become the Pokemon master he always intended to be, you know. And the Kalos League, whether or not he actually wins this, I believe this is the strongest season. This is the best season, and I believe Ash has matured so much. You know, he's grown up so much all the way since Kanto, and you know, I believe that this should be his year to win. And even if he does win, you know, if he does win, I believe that they still could go on to, like, you know, after the Pokemon League, and he could go on to other adventures. Perhaps they could, you know, make a spin-off show, or, you know, about Ash, you know, while possibly making a brand new character. But I believe that Ash should, you know, he should win the Pokemon League. Definitely, I hope it's the Kalos region. But this is my number one thing I hope will happen, as I do believe it's probably on all of your guys' list for things to happen. Ash winning the Pokemon League, him finally achieving his goal, is my number one thing that I would like to happen in the Pokemon anime, because that would conclude, you know, this whole story of his, how long it was, how many years it's been. You know, for him to finally win would be just amazing. And Kalos, to me, this is his best shot. This is his best shot. It is said that he is supposed to be the runner-up, though. So that is like the main rumor. He's either supposed to be the runner-up or the champion, so of the Pokemon League this year. So as long as they do him well, I mean, as long as they do this well, you know, I really hope it has a really nice ending to it. And I believe in the end that Ash should finally, you know, win this Pokemon League and possibly move on to, you know, challenging the Elite Four and challenging and trying to be the greatest trainer in the world at that point. You know, challenging other Pokemon League champions, and that's where he will begin from there. I also believe that in the Pokemon League, Ash should use in his final battle, obviously Pikachu, I think, should be the final battle. You know, Pikachu, he may be evolving, like I said before, but in the final battle, Pikachu should just, like, remember all the times it had with Ash, and all the other Pokemon should just remember, you know, all those moments. And I hope, like, the Pokemon League I hope they end it right and awesome, and just have an epic, you know, fight in the very end, and have Ash finally winning. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is my top moment I want to happen, and I better darn happen eventually. Thanks guys for watching. Please guys, remember, if you have your own top 10 or other moments that you believe that I could have possibly missed, or, you know, you're just your own top 10 moments that you wish would have happened in the Pokemon anime, or to happen in the Pokemon anime, please post it in the comment section below. And you know, maybe there's some things that I missed that, you know, I could probably agree with you on, that, you know, I wish this would have happened or whatever. But thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll make another top 10 about something else sometime. Post your ideas, thoughts, theories, whatever you would like down below. Ask any questions you may have, or, you know, give me suggestions for future videos, if you may so desire. So anyway guys, thanks. Make sure to subscribe and all that good stuff, and have a fabulous day. Peace out. Thank you very much.